redo that. There we go. And we're going
New theme tune is coming.
live. Theme tunes are available. Probably remind me of them every week.
Yeah. Or until you start playing it.
Or until I play it.
Yeah.
I'll get Capstone. Yeah, interesting.
Or you get Capstone to do a theme tune.
I'll get Capstone to tell him he thinks of your theme tune.
He's always very diplomatic, isn't that man? But that's not what today's show's about.
Right then, Hobbit. This is your thing.
Right, okay. So, Wamegoings going on, or also called Crystal Cole. She's Murray Hindley, but she's not in prison. Fuck that bitch. And as we go on to today, this is more a public awareness thing. This story is there's nothing new happened with this story. Really, it's gone cold. But a few years ago, this evil bitch tortured a man. He was 18 years old at the time, and we've actually got some handwritten testimony from the victim. So this is going to be interesting. But I'll start off with the what's it called? The Wamego LSD missile silo. So this is in Wamego, which is part of Kansas, and it was once home to the most prolific LSD manufacturer in the United States, William Leonard Picard. The unremarkable concrete exterior of this former Cold War era Atlas E missile silo belies the patent strangeness of the site's history. Okay, it's a bit of a funny way of talking about it. Anyway, originally installed by the Air Force as part of a missile system in the Topeka area. Yeah, in 1961. The site was only operational until 1965, when it was decommissioned and ultimately abandoned. Well, there's no evidence I've seen to suggest otherwise, but I'm gonna call bullshit on that. Like, seriously, you're saying you've gone to great expense to make this underground concrete bunker, and you're decommissioning it 4 years later? No way, man. I reckon there's shady shit going on there. Well, there was shady shit going on there, but anyway, speculation aside, let's just read what it says. Following 3 decades of decay, the building was purchased by Gordon Todd Skinner, a young psychedelic drug enthusiast with a massive inherited fortune, who converted the mostly underground structure into a kind of hidden palace, complete with luxurious hot tubs and baths furnished with imported marble. There is a Vice documentary about this. It's 20 minutes long. I've posted it in the Fortean Words chat, so you can all watch it, and maybe I'll watch it tonight, like I was supposed to. Skinner had ties to an LSD manufacturer operating out of California named William Leonard Picard, eventually decided to move his operation to the Wamego silo and work together with Skinner. Although the site operated as a drug manufacturing facility for only a short time, the DEA estimates that Picard and Skinner produced up to 90% of the LSD circulating in the United States during the latter half of the 1990s. In addition, Skinner, who is a self-taught chemist and pharmacologist, is known to have synthesized other psychedelic drugs, such as synthetic mescaline. By 2000, Skinner had become paranoid of being caught in his illicit activities and began working as an informer for the DEA. This led to the arrest and eventual imprisonment of Picard and his lab partner Clyde Apperson, as well as a major dearth of LSD in street drug markets that would last for years. Skinner later left Wamego and was eventually convicted of kidnapping, assaulting, torturing, and forcibly dosing a number of victims, including his former girlfriend Crystal Cole, as well as several minors, with dangerously large amounts of various psychedelic and dissociative drugs. Right, yeah. His girlfriend. I thought they were married because Crystal Cole is
His name's Skinner. She'd be Crystal Skinner, wouldn't she?
yeah. Well, unless there's one of those. Oh, we're married, but we don't take the name.
Yeah.
I was convinced they got married.
So
Maybe.
where are you reading this from, Hobbit?
This is from atlasobscura.com.
Oh right, it's not in the links.
No, I just typed in the thing immediately. Like, there was the news headline, and I typed it, and this is what came up. The news headline was featured in Underground LSD Palace, and it said there's a news article by Andrea Albright in it. So, it's really quite hard to. I don't really want to get in so much into it, except for the fact that see Breaking Bad, but imagine LSD's being manufactured instead of methamphetamine, and William Leonard Picard. Why is this Skipper? Oh no, Hod Skinner, Crystal Cole. Okay, all right, okay.
Did he say engage by any chance?
No,
No.
Well, look, this is my fault. I thought like time has been very strange to me lately, and things have been going. But anyway, right. So I'm gonna go from a forum post, and this is on a forum called the Shroomery, which is about magic mushrooms. And the first post, and this was done 8 years and 10 months ago, says, "Hi everyone, I'm new to the forum. The only reason I signed up an account is that I recently became engrossed in the Leonard Picard Todd Skinner Crystal Cole case. I have a few comments to make and some questions. My main interest is not actually in the Picard aspect, it's in the violent assault on Brandon Green conducted by Crystal Cole. Gordon Todd Skinner and another guy in a motel room in Oklahoma. In my opinion, this is the true crime of this case and the true evil. I am talking of permanent physical and mental mutilation of Brandon Green, aged 18 at the time. What strikes me is that there are so many posters in various forums on YouTube calling Crystal Cole, also known as the Neurosoup Girl, a snitch, and that's the worst thing she did regarding all of this. In my opinion, infinitely worse was that she was alleged to have participated in with Todd the brutal assault and permanent physical and psychic injury. He was forcibly injected with LSD as well as other substances on Brandon Green. And he says, however, torture, forced permanent sterilization. Now, this is the thing I first thought, because they, amongst the other tortures involved was injecting chemicals into his testicles. And genital mutilation, but Brandon Green actually is a single father and he's got 2 children. And they say he's brain damaged from it as well. Why isn't Crystal Cole in jail for life like Skinner is? I pray Skinner's now released. For those unfamiliar with the case, or only familiar with the retarded documentary with a hipster vocal fry metrosexual interviewer showing Crystal Cole in the G-string in the old missile silo. Here's what happened to Brandon and what Brandon testified after his torture and attempted or near murder. Right, so this is right. Within the report, kidnapping and torture victim Brandon Green states, report page 4, that after kidnapping by Skinner and Crystal Cole, he was 1. Injected with unknown chemicals and drugs in his penis, testicles, back, arms and legs. 2. Hit in the groin repeatedly. 3. Kicked in the groin until he blacked out. 4. Forced to drink an unknown substance and was also forced to swallow some form of parasitic eggs. 5. Not given any food and very little fluids during his captivity. 6. Bound with duct tape by the hands and feet and beaten repeatedly. 7. Duct taped across the mouth to prevent his calls for help. 8. Tied around the testicles and or penis with a telephone cord and suspended from a bed.
Oh.
No, yeah, they done a lot to him.
Fuck.
9. Pulled with the telephone cord around his penis until cartilage popped.
Oh,
Oh.
There's unfortunately this isn't all the injuries that he was suffered to. Shall I carry on?
Yeah, you know.
go on, just do it.
Right. Okay. So
Alter it in bed. You might
I'm
hear
I'm
it.
sorry, audience, if you have a nervous disposition, you may
Or
want to
you've
just
just
like,
eaten.
or if you're just about to eat. This is not going to be a fun episode. So 10, subjected to a deep cut into his penis with a knife or razor blade. 11, subjected to bleach being poured over his groin area. 12, brutally shaved by Christopher off his scalp, eyebrows, genitalia, and his entire body. 13, subjected to severe trauma to the rectum with an unknown instrument.
Ooh.
So, right, that's the list of things which he reported and was, confirmed by doctors to have happened to him. So, the 4th of April 2007, Crystal Cole's pre-sentence investigation report also cites torture victim Brandon Green as reporting a collapsed lung, damage to the left side of his body, sexual dysfunction, severe memory loss, and then there's reports page 5 and 8. I was kidnapped in July 2003, and today in almost February 2007. Almost 4 years have gone by, and I'm still in constant agony in multiple areas across my body. It kills me to think that Crystal could be released from probation in half the amount of time that I've been suffering. I beg the courts to be harsh on Crystal and charge her with the maximum penalty available. Crystal A. Cole Skinner handed me over to complete evil. Crystal A. Cole Skinner.
So they must have been married.
Yeah, encouraged and enjoyed the physical, sexual, and emotional torture inflicted against my will for numerous days. Crystal is very sick and very young. She has the propensity to kill and is arrogant enough to follow through with it. Her only regret is getting caught and probably wishes she had finished me off there in the field. There's a report on page 10 about this. I don't unfortunately have this report. This is just being copied and pasted into the forum. So, question from pre-trial investigator. Do you believe the defendant is a serious threat to the community? Answer. Yes, very much so. She is young, evil, and enthusiastic. She has a lot of damage. She still has a lot of damage she could do if not punished correctly the first time. Just as her predecessor husband, each time she slides through the court system successfully, she'll become more brazen and more confident. One moment, please. By the way, Crystal Cole, she's still at large, not in prison, and has a YouTube channel where she talks about drug rehabilitation therapy. She offers her services as a counsellor now. I think, counsellor in the same way Harold Shipman was a doctor. What type of punishment, in your opinion, do you feel is necessary for the defendant to receive? Incarceration. People are creatures of habit. I would bet the farm she's currently living off illegally made money and is either committing or scheming several large crimes. She's grown up in a life of easy money, answering to no one, and is lying to everybody. I would be too scared not to incarcerate Crystal A. Cole Skinner. For somebody to commit the types of crimes she has committed and show no real signs of emotions, she is a loose cannon and a threat to any community, especially a threat to unsuspecting males. She was the first and only girlfriend I took home to my parents. I trusted Crystal with everything. I had a boyish optimism about life.
Who's
I was
saying this,
quick.
Todd?
Yeah, this is Brandon Green.
Oh, right, the one that was abused.
This is the victim impact statement. I was quick-witted and mentally sharp, and above all else, I had no idea such evil like Crystal even existed. In contrast to the way I feel Crystal was portrayed throughout the court process, I want the court to know that Crystal was a strong-willed, intelligent woman with a full control of her emotions and psychological abilities. She is the definition of wicked and manipulative. Unfortunately for society, Crystal has the capability to play or maneuver a person or situation just as someone was engaged in chess. One person Crystal played was Gordon Todd Skinner. She always had the upper hand in the relationship. Crystal was not controlled or kidnapped by Skinner. So this is why I'm saying she's like Myra Hindley. She's the the one that's in control. Anyway, many nights Crystal would sit in front of the mirror and repeat to herself what she would say she was ever caught for her and Skinner's illicit drug activity. Months after my body was discovered in Texas and the freeway identified and located, the first assistant DA, defense attorney? What do you think DA stands for?
District Attorney.
The first assistant district attorney on the case had me come into his office to discuss the court case. When Crystal's pre-memorized story about involvement with Skinner was regurgitated by attorney David Robertson, my stomach dropped and I felt faint. She was just a girl who got caught up in Skinner's manipulation and mind control. So he's saying that, the statement read out was exactly the same thing that she replied. But anyway. What? I've read that bit about body being dumped. Although she was broke, had no steady... Oh, here are a few things probably never mentioned about Crystal's premeditation, the execution of the plans in regards to my kidnapping. Although she was broke, had no steady income, and previously helped me financially, Crystal secretly paid my apartment's rent several months ahead. She had told the landlord that her and I were about to go to California to take care of her dying father. I found this information out after the fact, and it still took me several years to realise she had paid up my apartment so nobody would be looking for my body. 2 weeks prior to my kidnapping, Crystal had spent a lot of time and energy in search of for an anointed person to create a pure white prayer robe that was designated for a special occasion. In a sick twist of humour, Crystal wore the same prayer robe I helped to design to perform seances over my body whilst I was being tortured. She would chant prayers over my body, offering up my soul as a sacrifice to Satan. So he sort of questions, where is Brandon now? And the thing is, we actually get some reports from Brandon. He later on he appears in the thread, and so I've got some stuff from him here. I've scrolled to the top of it. I actually got the Court of Criminal Appeals about that. Why did I?
I found that.
Oh,
I just put
that's
a couple
you.
of links in.
No, but I mean,
William
right,
Lennon Pickard as well. He was the guy that was running the. Is he the guy that was running the place?
Yeah, I see here. I posted the same link right at the start. Just amongst.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay then. I found it.
What's this subterranean psychonaut thing? Let's just have a look at that.
Psychonauts. I think they're like.
Oh, here we go.
Investigating, isn't it?
Oh, so this is a report about how Brandon Green was found. He stood naked by the roadside with a blanket draped around his hips, feebly reaching for the glimmering cars as they passed in the morning light. He was almost too hideous to look at. Purple and black tracks streaked across his frail limbs, and his hollow eyes peered up from a pale grey head shaved bald, eyebrows and all. Brandon Andrews Green was not from hell, not exactly. He was from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Over the course of the past 6 days, Green had been tied up in a Tulsa hotel room, where his mind was loaded with powerful psychoactives and his body ravaged. He was then driven 500 miles south and abandoned in a Texas field at night. Green had crawled through the darkness, the occasional moan of a distant car, his only guide. Car's moan? All right. Every few feet, he collapsed from exhaustion. By morning, he reached the road. He grasped at fistfuls of air, hoping that someone might notice him. It was...
So did they let him go, or did he escape? Well, obviously they must have let him go, because obviously he couldn't have escaped in that state.
No, so they dumped him.
Yeah.
It was 11 past 8 in the morning when patrolman Neil Moore of the Texas City Police Department passed. He wasn't quite sure what he saw. He turned around, pulled over to the shoulder, and then stepped out of his patrol car and approached the man cautiously. "Help me, please," Green gasped. The emergency paramedics. The paramedics showed up and loaded Green gingerly into the ambulance. There were only a few tests on his vitals. He had about 45 minutes left to live. Green was no innocent, not back then. He was making a few $100s a week selling weed and ecstasy in Tulsa, where he met the wrong girl who introduced him to the wrong guy. He couldn't have known that he opened the gate to an underworld populated with federal agents, clandestine chemistry, and mystical orders, and one of which one man, Gordon Todd Skinner, felt at home. It was April of 2003 when Green, 18 at the time, still grinding out his final semester of high school, first laid eyes on Crystal Cole. She was the cute blonde in pigtails at a South Tulsa rave offering ecstasy to Green's friends. Yeah, also she's a stripper. Green eyed her baggy pants, her form under a fitted t-shirt. He asked her to meet him in the hall to see if they could buy 50 pills. He was a dealer too, he explained. She patted Green down, probing him with questions. He thought her paranoia was cute. Cole said she'd call him and soon to negotiate a deal, and she did around noon the next day.
Have you ever read the just as a little break, Hobbit? Have you ever read the Encyclopedia Dramatica description of her?
Oh, go on then.
Ever wonder why LSD has become an increasing rarity? Thank Crystal Cole, aka Neurosoup, a professional stripper, YouTube partner, and federal informant for the DEA, straight from the prestigious cornfields of Kansas. A non-notable gothic dancer until she met William Leonard Picard, one of the world's largest LSD manufacturers. Crystal was taken in as a toy for the ghetto chemists. Eventually learning too much, she decided to cut her losses and snitch the operation out. Her current life consists of discussing such intriguing topics as administering DMT anally in a series of YouTube vlogs.
Oh yes, she talked about didn't like the idea of smoking it, so what if you just dissolve it in some oil and shove it up your bum?
Yeah. Silly old bum. Bum gone numb.
That's how I first heard of her, by the way, because for some completely unrelated reason, I was researching DMT and I read Rick Strasser's The DMT, The Spirit Molecule, and Dreams and DMT, and then so I was looking more about DMT, and it's like, administering DMT rectally, and I thought, okay, that's interesting because a lot of people go on these ayahuasca trips where you got DMT in it, but it causes violent vomiting and diarrhea because it's quite poisonous, and like administering it rectally means you can do away with the monoamine oxidase inhibitor, and
I've got a little quiz for you, Hobbit. Have a guess which podcast host discussed the book The Rose of Parcellus on Secrets and Sacraments, which was written by William Leonard Picard.
Oh, it was it Joe Rogan?
How did you guess that? How could you possibly have guessed the King of LSD? LSD's book was discussed on Joe Rogan.
Whoa, man. LSD makes everyone peaceful, man. Brandon just couldn't take up too much peace, man. What a fucking idiot.
Yeah, but dude, have you tried DMT? So, back to the serious posting.
Yeah.
They met at a Burger King in the University of Tulsa. Cole handed Green an envelope, then asked him for his car keys. Green waited inside while Cole searched his car. Wait 30 minutes before opening the envelope, Cole said. Inside were directions to a nearby Taco Bell, where Green found a note addressed to him hidden in the ladies' room. Green saw a tall, bearded man in the parking lot.
Chippy Tits Clips has asked, how much super chat bucks would you need to get Mavfus to take mushrooms live on air?
Well, I'll give you my PayPal, and you can deposit a large sum of money with about 6 zeros on it, and we'll see, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Also, give me some shrooms. Now, Green saw a tall, bearded man in the parking lot, a guy he noticed at the rave the night before. The notes led Green to a payphone in a sandwich shop, and the call led to the nearby Peace of Mind bookstore, where he found a final message hidden in a specific book and instructed him to meet Cole in the parking lot of a health food store. The game took hours, ending with Cole inviting Green into a car. It was time to meet... Why didn't they just, like, go, oh, okay, she's a psychopath and she likes playing games, right? It was time to meet a chemist friend. Green saw the balding, bearded man, not Walter White, the same from the rave and from the Taco Bell parking lot, parked nearby. The man said he knew how to cook all sorts of drugs, and that he'd been involved in serious deals since he was a teenager, that he'd been all over the world, met with insiders, and even served a little time. And now he was looking for some help. Would Green be interested in some real work, a gig that involved a kilo of LSD in Amsterdam? Holy shit. Right, so one dose of LSD is 100 micrograms. There's like, how many? Right, let me just figure out, like, how many micrograms. I think it's 1 million. How many micrograms in a gram? 1 gram equals 1 to the 6 micrograms. Well, thank you. That's very useful, Brave Search. Right, so I want to do, let's see, I'm going to convert 100 micrograms into 1 gram and 0.001. So what is 1 gram into micrograms? Let's say 1,000. No. Just do 1 gram. Right, so a kilogram is 1,000 grams, right?
Yeah.
Right, so this is 1 followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 1 million micrograms in a gram. Right, okay. I'm getting somewhere now. So that would be 1 billion in American stuff. So let's do 1 billion. 1,000 times 1 moment, please. I need to know what these numbers are. What is a kilogram of it?
Oh, Crystal Cole has a book out. Did you know that? It's called Lysergic.
Yeah, she's got more than 1 book out, actually. So this, in terms of, like, 1 kilogram of LSD would be equivalent to 10 million 100 microgram doses.
She really has reinvented herself, hasn't she? This is the blurb on Amazon. Crystal Cole earned a Bachelor's of Integrated Studies degree in Psychology and Substance Abuse Counselling from Washburn University in 2009. She also has a Master of Science degree in Psychology with an emphasis in evaluation, research and measurement from Capella University. Additionally, she is currently enrolled in the Psychology PhD program at Capella University. That having been said, Crystal is probably most known for the NeuroSoup website and making drug educational videos on YouTube. As the founder of NeuroSoup, Crystal hopes to educate people about the positive and negative aspects of all drugs, whether they are legal, available by prescription, or illegal. That's the way it's written. Moreover...
This would be like Myra Hindley being like, she runs a sexual well-being clinic.
Yeah. Moreover, Crystal strives to aid addicted individuals' recovery by providing online self-help, drug and alcohol rehab resources. What a wonderful human being she is, Hobbit.
Yeah, and by the way, if you need, she knows Dr. Harold Shipman as well, if you need prescription.
Yeah.
So, a kilo of LSD in Amsterdam. Cole made the introduction. Brandon, meet Gordon Todd Skinner. Around Skinner, Green felt intoxicated. At the time, Green was a senior at Victory Christian School. A pretty boy, slight of build with long golden hair and blue eyes. He was naive and easily entertained. The kind of guy who would get fruited to the gills at what raves? Fruited to the gills. I assume to the gills means be drunken on drugs. Skinner was everything Green was not. Big, strong, hyper-intelligent, worldly, and otherworldly. Green needed to get a legitimate job to distract the authorities, they told him. He would need to abandon the party scene for a discreet, seemingly ordinary life. If everything went well, and Green proved himself to be a talented understudy, they could talk about the transaction in Amsterdam. It could bring in millions. Green was excited and terrified. Skinner and Cole were grooming Green to be a better drug dealer. Just the week before, he bought a fake Mazzio's pizza uniform to fool his parents into thinking he had an after-school job. Now 2 accomplished drug traffickers clamoured to mentor him. He never heard of Gordon Todd Skinner or Crystal Cole before. You realise you're in too deep to back out now, Skinner told Green. During his high school years in the early 1980s, Gordon Todd Skinner often showed up to Cassia Hall Preparatory School in his blue blazer with the school crest proudly emblazoned on his chest. On free dress days, he wore a karate gi,
Yeah,
a gi,
Gi, yeah.
or sometimes a tuxedo to school. A classmate of Skinner's recalls seeing him arrive in a 1957 Bentley S1. I assume, a 1957 Bentley S1. That's not a cheap car you just find in a auto trader.
Yeah.
He wore a full-length camel hair coat. A tall, fleshy maths geek, maths they mean. Skinner didn't play sports like football or basketball. Instead, he dominated at chess. I played him one afternoon and beat him, the classmate remembered. But as the game drew closer to conclusion and Skinner realised he would certainly lose, he began taunting me for not finishing off quickly enough. He said my finishing game was weak. That's just the type of guy Gordon Todd Skinner was. He always had to be in control of the situation, even when he really wasn't.
That's a bit of a shit. Like, oh, you know what your problem is? You don't finish quickly enough. Playing chess is a lot like having sex with a beautiful woman. You have to finish quickly.
And so I'm just posting in the thing the picture of Gordon Todd Skinner in his high school thing. Chemistry was a breeze. He tinkered with molecular structures. Chess was a long-standing passion, but by the age of 15, Skinner discovered another obsession: drugs and everything related. At 16, he could extract psychedelic tryptamines from plant life. He offered them to friends. All of my high school friends just lined up to take anything that I had, and they were volunteering, so it wasn't a problem. Skinner says, fanning his fingers over the cafeteria table in Joseph Hupp Correctional Centre in Lexington. Oh, they like calling prisons correctional centres, don't they?
Yeah, well, you're not Yanks.
A world and a life away from
There
his
he is.
Tulsa.
Look,
Yeah.
what a handsome chap, wasn't he?
Well, what a guy. What a guy. What a guy.
Those sideburns.
Yeah.
Proper chap.
Yeah. Proper chad there.
Yeah. So his hair was mostly grey now, the crown of his head smooth as a Cremenes cap, whatever that is. Skinner's mother, a Tulsa businesswoman named Catherine Magrini, married Gary Lee Magrini. Skinner's stepfather was a special criminal agent with the U.S. Treasury Department, which at the time handled scores of drug investigations. Federal agents visited the Magrini home regularly. From an early age, Skinner learned that he could dabble in the world of drugs right under the government's nose. Either nobody cared or nobody noticed, or, what they don't say here, maybe he was learning and talking with them. So, if I was to set up a clandestine drug lab, what should I do so that you don't notice me? Skinner tried stronger drugs on his friends, studying them like insects. He was known to bring a tank of nitrous oxide to school, so his pals could inhale in the bathroom between classes. One weekend, according to a classmate, Skinner experimented on another student, dosing him heavily with something he conjured. This teen was later found in front of a full-length mirror, naked, and talking to his reflection. He tried to negotiate a cocaine deal with an oak tree. I was just a scientist saying, try this out, and unfortunately, they were all just guinea pigs in line, Skinner recalls. Some of them thought it was great, and some of them don't talk to me to this day over it. Religion and psychedelics enjoy a marriage over millennia. One of the most evocative myths pertains to Soma or Chandra, the havoc-creating moon lord of plants in the Vedic Brahmananism. Oh, get Brutus in for this bit. Let Indra drink, O Soma, of thy juice for wisdom, the Rig Veda proclaims. The ethnomycologist, R. Golden Watson. Oh, I've heard of him. He went to South America to... he's the one that popularised a lot of these drugs, but anyway, he equated... So anyway, R.
handsome chap.
R. Golden Watson equated Soma with a psychedelic mushroom, Amantia. R. Gordon Watson, yeah, he equated Soma with the psychedelic mushroom Amantia muscaria. It's the fly agaric mushroom. The same mushroom that appears in Siberian folklore and ancient Central American pottery. The use of mushrooms, fungi, and other plant-related hallucinogens permeate indigenous spiritual traditions, but it wasn't until 1938 that Swiss scientist Albert Hofmann tried synthesizing ergotamine, which is an extract of
Is he a friend of
ergot
Jack
fungus.
Hoffman?
Yes. Well, ergot is a deadly.
Dom said he did some acid in the New Forest. He climbed up a tree and some horses came over and he interviewed them.
Yeah, there you go. Did you try and negotiate a cocaine deal with them? But so Albert Hofmann, he tried to synthesize ergotamine, but he wound up with lysergic acid dimethylide, or LSD. Reports quickly spread about its mind-altering effects. Even the US government was curious. Dr. Frank Olson, a biological warfare specialist, stayed at hotel. Oh, Boards of Canada have got a song called Olson. This is probably who they mean then. He stayed at Hotel Stadler in New York City. Unbeknownst to him, the Central Intelligence Agency dosed him with enough LSD to seriously impair his mental state. On Saturday, the 20th of November 1953, Olson's trip ended when he was pushed from, thrown out, or jumped out of the glass window of his room and plummeted 10 floors down. Right. Okay, so that's where we get the story of, LSD and fly. The Frederick News Post said Olson was depressed and complained of ulcers. Today we know his death was a result of a covert CIA project known as MKUltra. My God, this article's long. I've read 1/10 of it. Oh, hang on. And we got talking about Todd Skinner's catalogue, a menagerie of exotic entheogens that require. Entheogens is another way of saying psychedelics. They say, can't remember what entheogen means, but they're basically talking about things like mescaline and shrooms. When Skinner took the stand in January 2003, the judge asked him what drugs he had used. Skinner replied, "I would like to start with the ones I don't use, I never used, or to the best of my knowledge."
He's very autistic then, do you, Herbert?
Well, mate, he plays chess and does drugs and made drugs. As a teenager in 15, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna just extract various DMT compounds from plants. So I would like to start with the ones I don't use. I never used, to the best of my knowledge, any form of tobacco plant. I never used methamphetamine, never used cocaine. I have not used street drugs in general. I have avoided most street drugs. I've not used PCP. The reason I'm doing the nuts is because I've done so many unusual analogs, the list gets to be too long. According to a list he provided to the courts, the number of all the drugs he ingested, inhaled, injected, inserted, snorted, or otherwise introduced into his body comes to 163, and is much higher when counting the derivatives of certain substances. When Skinner elaborated on a particular drug, he conveyed the sort of obsession you'd expect from a Vinter. I went through an elaborate process and consumed ibotenic acid, which would have been the active constituent. I rarely did this. I was nervous about the research because of the decarboxylation of ibotenic acid that converts to muscimol, which is an active constituent of fly agaric rumentia muscaria. Skinner can wax poetic on PCPA receptors and the PCPA receptors. And the difference between pharmahuskers and 5-fluoroalpha-methyltryptamine. Right, okay. The term pharmahuska, is there's a jungle brew called ayahuasca, and it's very, very poisonous. It'll trip. You'll see stuff on it. David Icke's done it, and you end up puking and shitting throughout the entire trip. So it's very magical. Oh, and then clockwork elves start to molest you, and everybody sees the clockwork elves, and they look a lot like lamb or greys.
Nah.
Yeah, the clockwork elves look like that. I wouldn't know. I've not done it myself.
You sound very knowledgeable in this.
Are
you sure?
Done some research, yeah.
You've done some research.
Yeah.
So you got to study on that. You got to study for that, bro.
I citation. I made it up one night.
You got to study
so-
for that, bro.
The reason I say that is because farmuesca is the term where you're using synthetic substances to replace the plants in it. Like reversible MAOIs,
Dom said
monoamine oxidase.
he didn't ask the horses for coke because he knew they weren't holding.
But oh my god, there's so much in it. So here's another quote from Skinner. I seem to have an idiosyncratic response to entheogens. They maybe that's arrogant, so I've got to be careful. They are very spiritual and sacramental things. I do not use these. I think you put it recreationally, and I take offense to that. Unfortunately, because I do not take these things recreationally, these are sacraments to me. So yeah, he done a whole bunch of drugs and the court thing. Oh my god, and the silo testimonies. My god, this article's so long. So this just. Oh, that's it. The missile side.
Chippy Tits Clips wants us to know the last time he did hallucinogenics, a 7-foot black troon in a bikini started chasing someone down the road, and I thought they were chasing me.
I thought how the feeling of oh shit, I'm about to get fucked up by a troon is the worst pain I've experienced. Yeah. No, I could imagine that probably wasn't like maybe not 7 foot tall, but actually no. Then again, where he lives, it's possible that it could have been, heels and such. Yeah. Fucking hell. The missile silo was the ultimate Skinner box. He renovated the military complex. Yeah, we'd done this, but luxury sound system, Groot-sized hot tub. You'd have bitches over and fuck them regularly, and Crystal Cole would sort of like giggles in the Vice interview about like getting naked with girls and grooming them. But Skinner's recollections, so they talk about the drug thing, but really I just want to get to the bit about Crystal Cole. Vice magazine short documentary High on Crystal offers a peek into the life of Skinner's comrade in expanded consciousness. During the video, the Cosmic Cole takes the host, Hamilton Morris, on a giggly tour, she giggles a lot, of the Wamego missile base. She explains how the corrugated cylindrical collars are really fun when you're tripping, because they start swirling on you. Cole left a detail out of Lysergic's love story, Skinner's other love. Around 1997, he started dating a woman named Emily Ragan. Ragan? When Skinner met Cole at the strip club, it wasn't a random encounter. He was interviewing for a job as his personal assistant. Crystal was a great valet, he remembers adding. She was very well organized. At the same time, Cole was finding herself enmeshed with Skinner's soul. Skinner was growing closer to Reagan as well. In September 2000, Skinner married Reagan. They had a daughter together and divorced the following year. Reagan taught chemistry at the University of Tulsa.
Reagan, as in pew pew.
Ragan. Reagan.
Is this Chris Reagan's dad or something?
Reagan.
But anyway, Reagan taught chemistry at the University of Tulsa. Through her current husband, she declined to comment for the story. Skinner says he eventually fell in love with Cole. While Skinner's testimony during the Picard trial depicted an industrious atmosphere at the silo, Cole has a different take. Likening the
I just keep thinking
milieu.
of Jean-Luc Picard making LSD, and I just can't get that image out of my head.
Yeah,
I just imagine him over a big vat with a huge fucking paddle.
make it so.
Fumes all over the shop. Yeah, that's what I imagine in my head. That's what I imagine is in my head whenever you say about Picard.
Cole recalls lots of. They keep using bullshit terms like entheogenic monastery. No, what she means is a drug den. Yeah. Cole recalls lots of nudity and wild parties where people used. Oh yeah, because that's really monastic, isn't it? Hot bitches getting nude, high on drugs. Where people used intravenous drips to blast themselves into deliria.
That's somewhere really. Oh my god, this is sounds like a 13th century monastery, doesn't it, Hobbit?
Somewhere in the subterranean haze, Crystal recalled a ritual in which Skinner initiated her into an order using a golden chalice, ergot wine, and ancient Chaldean prayers. So ergot wine is, I assume that's wine which has got like ergot fungus in it. So it's similar to LSD, but you're going to feel very unwell eating that. In the Surgics, he theorizes that the Last Supper might have been similarly infested.
So how do you make wine out of a fungus?
Well, you don't. You get wine and then you just put like ergot
Right.
into it. Yeah. And then Cole says, "Doesn't this seem a little like the community Christianity?" She's comparing like her drugs to the Last Supper.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear.
Yeah.
These bitches be cray cray.
Yeah. Well, this bitch be Myra Hindley, the American Myra Hindley, basically. Fucking hell. Skinner was ready to spill. By the way, I'm trying to skim through this article, so I want to get back onto what a bitch Crystal Cole is.
Yeah.
An act commemorated, Skinner's ready to spill, an act commemorated in a 706-page document called The Transcript of the Testimony of Gordon Todd Skinner had before Honourable Richard D. Rogers and the jury of 12 on January 8, 2003. Can you imagine being in this jury and like this 706 pages of testimony?
Is that a lot?
Well, like, how long would it take you to read out 706 pages?
A long time.
Yeah, it's going to take.
Isn't the standard 1,000 pages, and that's considered a big book?
Mate, it's like this is a huge amount of stuff, and it's just like, really like, okay, it's not surprising that the guy that manufactured the most LSD in the world also happens to be really enthusiastic about drugs and spends a lot of time talking about drugs, and also happens to be a guy who's really enthusiastic about taking those drugs. But so this is just like 1/3 into the article, and then it talks about the DA dismantling the drug lab. Oh, here we go. One night, Skinner showed up at Green's apartment while he was away, took Cole from the living room by force, and then sped away with her. Cole claimed Skinner had threatened to drive off a bridge. Todd has an anger about him that's very scary, recalls Green, who sounds a little nervous. When his face turns red and he's a big guy. He just seems crazy. You don't want to piss him off. I'm totally innocent. It's a quiet afternoon at a restaurant in Norman,
Did she just sit in the
Oklahoma.
van while he buried the bodies? Did
That's
she do
it,
that?
Yeah.
Just like Myra Hindley used to.
Oh, I didn't know he was burying the bodies.
Yeah.
It's been 10 years
told
since
me
the kidnapping.
He told me he used to just throw his rubbish up on the moor.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
The incident shocked Green and Cole enough to seek a protective order against Skinner in June of 2003. I'm helping him. I'm helping the victim I tortured. I'm going to put a restraining order on Skinner. Yeah. The order was never served. Cole and Green cancelled it when Skinner promised to pay them off in MDMA pills. Hoping to distance themselves from Skinner, Cole and Green then turned to the DA to inform them of Skinner's drug-related activities. Cole claimed Skinner had an MDA lab in his mother's company in Tulsa. Green admitted to dealing for Skinner.
So is Green the guy that was abused, isn't he?
Yeah, Brandon Green. I felt like Todd was going to kill her eventually, Green says, and whether I loved her or not, my sole responsibility was to keep Crystal safe.
Dickhead.
Well, this is the thing, right? I think, this is before. But the thing is, I actually have, like, a few years after, like, he's got back. The guy is a devout Christian, and he's got nothing but forgiveness for her.
He's got nothing, but he wants a bit of leg over.
Well, that too, unfortunately. Yeah. So, I think I'm done with that bit for now. Because that's just like, it's really huge. And look, if you want to read this, I mean, you're gonna spend a few days on it, a few hours. I mean, so I'm just gonna post this link here. Just do it there. Damien says, no offense, please don't do a part 2 Hobbit. I don't really want to go that much detail into it. But I'm posting a link there so you can read the rest of it. Right, so I want to get into some of the testimony by this is it, right? So later on in the forum, there's a woman
Are we going to talk about Jean-Luc Picard at some point?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. Later on in the forum, there's a response from someone who's an IRL friend of Brandon Green, and this is what she had to say. I've always been close to Brandon. We met when I was little and grew up going to prayer meetings together. Since he's a couple year older than I am, he'd also babysit me during the summer. We talked about this traumatic event several times. The truth. Crystal played a huge part in his kidnapping and torture. She was not a victim. She found pleasure in hurting him. I haven't watched any of her videos and never will. She's not deserved the recognition. I watched Brandon live out the recovery and forgiveness process. He still struggles with severe pain on a daily basis and suffers from PTSD. As putting it lightly, I don't want to give too much information on his personal life. How does he feel about Crystal? After this happened, he hated her. Then he came to know and experience the unmerited love of Jesus. He has learned not only to forgive her and everyone involved, but has love for them. He
I don't claim to know that much about Jesus, but I'm pretty sure that like some things don't get forgiven. You don't just like carte blanche forgive everything. I don't think that's how it works.
I think there's a bit like the coping of when you've experienced severe trauma is learning to forgive those who have wronged you.
Yeah.
So that it's not holding the demon's not got a grip of you if you've learnt to forgive and forget. So whilst it is egregious and the bitch, you know, she is Myra Hindley and deserves to be in prison for the rest of her life, it needs to be said that, you know, Brandon Green is a stronger man than I am.
I don't know. He could at least like now and again say like the bitch deserves to burn in hell.
Well, yeah, he said that. You know, the victim. I read out the victim impact statement. He's, you know, he doesn't think she should go unpunished for her
I don't know.
crimes.
It sounds like he's flip flopping on her.
I think what he's saying here. I'm going to read his own words later.
Yeah.
What he's saying here is he needs to move on, and this is by forgiving her. It's not saying that your crimes are excused. It's more a case of like I can't be dealing with this anymore. I'm going to move on. After this happened, he hated her. Then he came to says that's it. His wish that they right. So here it is. He has love for them. His wish is that they will also come to know Jesus. Quoting what he told me last night, I experienced hell at the hands of Satan already, and I don't want anybody else to experience the same thing, but for eternity instead of a week. If anyone has questions, feel free to ask. That's coming from him. He said I could give a way for people to contact him, but I'm not going to do that. If you're reading this, sorry, Brandon. I prefer you to contact me first, then I'll get you in contact with him. I want to make sure he doesn't receive any hate messages, and I'll read those out. And that's from, she put an email address as well in it, but I'm not going to read that out. So we got handwritten letters. So this is the first one. And this is responding to a user called New Age Shaman. Crystal drove Todd's Porsche. Then he's crossed out a line saying that the hitman trying to protect his name because I care about him and his future. Anyway, crossed all that out, replaced it with Bill. Bill drove my Toyota Solara to a woody area off a highway that he was familiar with. Bill unloaded my body as Crystal waited near the road in Todd's Porsche. Driving away, a couple miles away from where they dropped me off, Crystal hit the curb and busted a tire. Small town Texas didn't have Porsche tires, so Crystal had to wait for a new tire to be delivered. Bill toots
the horn.
Bill took a bus to Tulsa,
right.
Turned himself into Tulsa police, Tulsa DA, and they buried the story and told no one. The state's lead investigator during the trial dug up all this evidence, and Bill has personally, with tears in his eyes and grief in his heart, confirmed the whole story. Sincerely, Brandon Green. This is handwritten letters, by the way, so that's why I'm struggling. I'm not that retarded. Oh, this is better. So he responds to Team Killer and says, Crystal was honestly doing what she is supposed to be doing. She would be a teacher in the psychedelic movement, whether I was ever kidnapped or not. I suppose in the same way that, Harold Shipman's a teacher. One of the first reasons I was so captivated by Crystal is her ingenuitive and entrepreneurial spirit. Ingenuitive?
That's the first thing he saw about. How did he see that first before we saw the fact she was like a hottie?
Well, I think we all tend to. These are the words he wrote.
Yeah.
So it's her ingenuitive and entrepreneurial spirit. She has dedicated her existence to psychedelics.
Has he just
She
made
might
a
as-
word up there with ingenuitive?
I think he's trying to say she's ingenious, but
Yeah.
bear in mind he did suffer brain damage after being injected with God knows what.
Oh, well, okay. We'll let him off on the word.
Yeah,
Oh, he's brain damaged and he's American, so
yeah.
double
Yeah.
bubble.
So let's give him some slack here. She has dedicated existence to psychedelics. She might as well teach her knowledge. I hope and pray that she realizes she is screwed without Jesus. Well, also, I don't know her anymore. I'm a completely different person, and I would hope that she is also. Sincerely, Brandon Green. From the proverbial horse's mouth, to answer everybody's Fred question, why was Crystal not thrown in jail? Against my pleadings, the DA, not Jack Thorpe, but his bosses, decided his number one goal was to get Todd off the streets. So this is Todd Skinner.
Yes.
So he accepted and unfortunately probably believed her story and decided it was more advantageous to use Bill and Christie's testimonies against Todd instead of imprisoning them. I know Bill has continued to live in his own self-initiated prison, and I'm pretty sure Crystal has probably also experienced her own form of self-initiated prison.
Doubt
I
it.
know I have. I think it means inflicted, but it's a daily battle to break free from the physical, emotional, and spiritual chains. Sincerely in love, Brandon Green. And then he says to,
Hey, baby, nice initiative.
yeah.
No, it's definitely like ingenuity was the word he was going for, weren't it?
Yeah, that's probably it. Dom
Ian
Alfkicker says,
says- Oh, you see what Ian says? I remember the days
what-
when you go around your mate's house and discover his mum was fit. Doesn't happen anymore. These days, all my mates' mums are either old or dead.
well, it could also be the company you keep, what with your age and stuff. So
Yeah.
one more handwritten letter, and then there's like some other stuff there, and like Hammy, you can take up the slack because it's burrito time for me.
Okay.
So this is a response to a user called Racism. Rakem. Please keep in
You'll have to
mind.
Show me the bit. What are you reading anyway?
Right, these are the handwritten letters. I'm on the last of the handwritten letters at the moment.
Oh, okay.
Right at the top, and you got and then underneath that there's text. Rakem, please keep in mind that consequently I spend on average 20 hours a month at doctors' offices, and that does not include psychiatrists, counselling, or physical therapy appointments, or time spent as at PTSD recovery groups. I easily spend 1 to 4 hours a night offering my boy
After my boys
after-
go to sleep.
after my boys are asleep, doing whatever I can personally to bring about my
Healing.
healing,
Yeah.
whether that is praying, meditating, stretching, begging for help from God or others, and or educating myself and trying to retrain my thoughts, emotions, spirit, soul, etc. Just so I can try and relieve my physical and emotional pain. On a pain scale of 1 to 10, 10 being excruciating and unbearable pain, my pain level has never been below a 6 or 7. And most times, unfortunately, between 8 and 11. And that's been non-stop, never ceasing since I wake up from the kidnapping, which will be 12 years ago. This July the 4th, 2015. Trust me, I realise the irony. Also, as you can imagine, my PTSD is pretty extreme and has been a challenge to live with. Would I do it all over again?
Is that some sort of joke about 12 years a slave?
I don't know what he's referring to because I'm missing the context. Would I do it all over again? Yes, if it meant I could introduce just one of you people to the saving knowledge of Christ. Not the Sunday school made-up religious Jesus, but the actual Son of God, creator of heaven and earth. So, he's really found strength in Jesus, and that's why I've got a lot of sympathy for this man. But yeah. So, do you want to pick up this whole book?
Brandon said Crystal has never apologised, but he won't say anything negative about her or anyone else. He heard many detailed stories prior to the kidnapping from Todd and Crystal about their version of what happened with Picard. After the kidnapping, Leonard wrote to Brandon and they still keep in contact to this day. He only had positive things to say about him. Coming from someone who is very close to Brandon, here's my opinion. I've heard all of Brandon's stories, know the truth, and have watched him suffer. From my understanding, Crystal in the beginning, before the court case, even officially stated when Brandon had cornered Crystal at one of their court arraignments, she shifted the blame onto Bill and an evil government plot. She even went as far to try and tell Brandon that she tried to save him. Just so everyone knows, Bill personally told Brandon that she spent several hours shopping and would swim and tan at the motel while he was being tortured. She never tried to save him. Bill was the only one who truly apologised. I remember Brandon telling me that when he crossed Bill for the first time after the kidnapping, that he dropped to his knees and begged for forgiveness. He was broken and ashamed for what he had done. I know that Brandon has forgiven everyone involved, but when he talks about Bill, there is more of a softness in his voice. He said the only time he ever felt peace during the kidnapping was when he was left alone with Bill, almost as if he was secretly his guardian, an angel keeping him alive. As for Crystal, it is extremely hard for me to talk about her. I'm praying Jesus will help me to be more loving and forgiving towards her like Brandon is. When I see him have to stop in the middle of performing a simple task because he's in so much pain, I think of her. It breaks my heart when I watch him suffer every day and I blame her for it. When I saw her voice video, I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach and I was in tears. In the video, when she mentions Brandon, who she refers to as Brad, she doesn't flinch or show any sign of sympathy. She smiles and laughs when she talks about him. I cannot even begin to put into words how that made me feel. When she talked about Todd and tripping, she would light up, but then would show no real emotion when Brandon was discussed. While I watched that video, I remembered Brandon telling me about learning during the kidnapping. She had gleefully expressed to Todd and Bill this was like a movie, while her young boyfriend was being slowly and methodically tortured several feet away. When she smiled and talked about him, I felt like I was being able to see the pure evil inside her that I'd heard about. She also weaseled her way out of paying restitution money by claiming to the judge that she was indigent. I hope one day that Brandon's prayers will be answered and she will come to know Jesus.
Thing is, when she does come to know Jesus, I mean, Jesus forgives everyone. I mean, I'm convinced Caravaggio's in heaven, but there's going to be some retribution for what she's done.
Chippy Tits Clips says, I'd rather have anal herpes than a stuck-up bird.
Is that itchy?
Oh, probably. Itchy and sore, I think. Do I know what was injected in me? No, only God and... I'm reading handwritten now, so it's going to be a bit slower. No, only God and Todd know. But I doubt either of them will be telling me the answer anytime soon. I did find out while reading the front page of the Tulsa World that my testicles were injected with unknown chemicals to make my package gangrenous. Fucking hell. And then slice my dick open with a razor blade to expedite the infection. Fuck me. These people are fucking ill, aren't they?
Well, you know, she was offering him up as a sacrifice to Satan, and the bit which surprises me is Brandon survived to tell the tale.
Well, I mean, it's testament to him what a fucking guy he is to come through this and still want to keep living.
Yeah.
Did it say as well he's got daughters? He puts his daughters to bed and then something.
Oh, I thought he had 2 sons.
Oh, is it 2 sons, is it? So his PP still works then.
Well, yeah.
I do know that when I was found, I had track marks from all the injections literally all over my body. I did ask Todd recently if he could shed some light on this ordeal, since I'm in such excruciating pain. He told me through a mutual... It's kind of... I know it's kind of... I would like to know what pain he gets and where. Like, is it like his body is constantly in pain? Does he have pain in like bits they've sliced or broken or what? But it doesn't say what kind of pain he's in, does it?
No, I mean, well, I can imagine his. I mean, his wedding tackle doesn't work too well.
Yeah, he told me through a mutual associate that Bill injected me with Xena, the 1990s wine cooler, and that in his opinion the alcohol content from the Zima caused me severe muscle atrophy. So they were just injecting, so it's like a lot of muscle pain he's having then, I assume.
Well, the other thing as well is they I don't doubt they were being sterile with the injection. So
yeah, I believe what he said might be true, but it's only a small fraction of the truth. I have strong suspicions that he possibly spent weeks preparing his arsenal of chemical concoctions. Since Todd was a young boy at his wealthy private Jesuit school, he had been getting off on drugging people like guinea pigs and watching/noting their behaviour. He sounds quite a bit like, you ever heard of Graham Young, Hobbit, the teacup poisoner?
have we done him before?
We haven't.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. We might have mentioned him before. Well, basically, what he did was he was like this. He had he had a chemistry set when he was a kid, and from then on he started poisoning his family. He poisoned his family, nearly killed his dad. Went to prison, came out, got a job, started poisoning his workmates. But he was one that noted down all the doses and the effects of everything.
Oh, okay. Oh, I found an image of Brandon Green 10 years after his kidnapping. So this would have been 2017.
Well, you do
Is that right?
If only he would have invested his talents for God instead of himself, he could have really benefited society with his amazing knowledge of God-given abilities. Let's not be like him. He loved, and then Brandon, I think, whatever it says. Oh, fuck. You sure that's him?
That's the guy. Brandon is alive and married, but is still suffering every day from physical pain and shut emotions. There's a medical diagram of Green's injuries here. Oh my God. Can we show this on YouTube, or maybe
Probably
I'll just put a link
probably
to
not.
it.
Just say it.
Right. There's a medical diagram here showing what's there. So starting from the head, bruise green yellow around the forehead, 1.5 centimeter.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure if you could show that or not because of the.
abrasion, multiple small scrapes and abrasions, one by 1.5 centimeter abrasion. This is all in his face. Purple bruising around his eye, lips dried and cracked. SH to head, body trunk extremis, trunk cord. I don't know what that means. Bruising and appearance of needle sites in his elbows. 3 centimeter Cupis abrasion? I don't know what it means. His wrists were red, probably from being tied.
Yeah.
Redness, 4.5 centimeter per 1 centimeter on his upper thigh.
He had a lot of just redness, didn't he?
Yeah. So bruising all over his legs, scrapes, linear scratch on his legs, linear scratches. That looks consistent with leg shackles. Bruising and appearance of 4 needle sites on his feet. Linear scar, 11 centimeters by 7 centimeters on his right buttock. Pinpoint. I can't really. Look. There's a link in the chat. You can look at this diagram for yourself, and you can try and try and decipher the medical examiner's handwriting. But suffice to say, there's a lot. Now, funny enough, this medical exam doesn't say. Oh no, there is like page 3. They talk about the.
I can't put it up because it's a JFIF file.
It does about damage to his genitals and anus.
No, the picture of Brandon. So I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, no, it's look. If you're really that curious, there is a medical report there, and the link is there.
No, I meant the picture of him now all healthy.
Oh, that. Oh, weird.
Yeah, it's a fucking JFIF.
Oh, well, I could suggest just you press print screen.
Do snip.
Press spectacle. Oh, okay. So another interesting passage about Leonard Picard. Leonard Picard claims to have met Cole on only one occasion and has not read her book. Cole's actions have done little to help his situation. She is also deleterious to the case by promoting her various fantasies derived largely from a brief marriage to an unreliable informant, or from a scrutiny of documents concerning sophisticated interactions about which she has little experience in interpreting. Picard wrote from prison. Some feel she frantically is scrambling to some peak of notoriety in the absence of other distinguishing accomplishments. We as observers are saddened. The spectacle of Cole commenting on the case to a prophet, eagerly filling a void that has not yet been addressed by the principals. It's rather as if Judas's wife was the sole public source of information on the crucifixion. In an odd turn of events, Picard has recently been calling Brandon Green with the explanation he'd simply like to be friends. Green enjoys the calls, he says. Then someone in the forum says, "I love LSD." Yeah, that's good thing. What else? A lot of people are annoyed because she ratted out a company and stopped a lot of people getting drugs. But let me just see. I'm on page 7 of the forum. Where's the one where Brandon starts responding to it? Where's the handwritten letters and stuff? Well, suffice to say, Crystal Cole's a bitch, and she's not in prison, and she thinks what she did is very funny, and Brandon Green to this day continues to live in pain. But no, she gets away with it, and yeah.
So we're going to talk about the guy, because that I mean, was that like a side quest, weren't it? Because it was really about this William Leonard Picard guy, weren't it?
Well, I mean, it's both Skinner and Cole were into torturing Brandon Green. But yeah, I mean, Picard was he the guy I was reading that long thing about?
Oh shit, he's Bill, isn't he?
Bill.
She's Bill. That Brandon talks about.
This is bad because I'm getting confused with the names here. The main ones I was focusing was Crystal Cole.
William is short. Bill is short for William.
Oh yeah, that's it.
So Bill would be William Leonard Picard. He was the one who didn't do it. So Bill was the one who apologized.
Oh, that's weird. I've gone past I've gone past the bits with the handwritten letters, but the images aren't loading anymore. So, did I trigger an internet deletion, like memory hole? Yeah, they're gone. Those letters are gone, and it was only a few weeks ago I extracted them.
Oh, right. Was that from somewhere else?
Well, oh, hang on. Oh, no. Here's the letters. So this is seven, sweetie. Yeah. So Seven, sweetie is the one speaking on behalf of Brandon. Yeah. So I'm just scrolling through the thing now. What's this saying? Todd's dad wasn't associated with the DEA. It was his stepfather that he grew up with. And he didn't work for the DEA. His type of business caused him to form friendships with multiple types of acronyms, not just the DEA. But he was not a government agent, at least not publicly. Not that I'm aware of. Also, Todd and Crystal didn't kidnap and drug 3 teenagers in May of 2003. Todd did drug a young man, other than myself, an associate of mine, in a hotel room, probably around May, but to the best of my knowledge, Crystal wasn't associated with it. Who's this? Brandon's answer, unfortunately, is not loading. Okay. Anyway, I am gonna I've got more of my burritos to make, so BRB.
Right. So anyway, so I might as well talk about William Leonard Picard. So he's the guy who. So William Leonard Picard, born 21st of October 1945, is one of the 2 people convicted in the last lysergic acid diethylamide LSD manufacturing case in history. In 2000, while moving their LSD laboratory across Kansas, Picard and Clyde Apperson were pulled over while driving a Ryder rental truck and a follow car. The laboratory had been stored near a renovated Atlas E missile silo near Wamegoings, Kansas. Gordon Todd Skinner, one of the men intimately involved in the case, but not charged due to his cooperation, owned the property while the laboratory equipment was stored. On July 27th, 2020, Picard was granted compassionate release from federal prison 20 years into his sentence. So
it's not even enough, man.
What? No, well, I suppose he was in charge of the. Yeah, he got 20 years, but that fucking cow got nothing, did she? Neuro soup.
Nah. Yeah, I seen that YouTube channel. I was thinking, she just looks. She's nuts, man.
Yeah.
How she avoided, not public, the death penalty.
Any charges whatsoever. Well, it's because they wanted. Basically, because they said earlier, didn't they? Like they wanted Picard. So
remember years ago when we were reading that story about the woman student in Oxford who stabbed her boyfriend with a bread knife in the stomach.
Yeah.
And then the judge was like, "Well, yeah, but you are studying to become a doctor, so I'm going to let you off."
Yeah.
Crystal Cole is no, I don't want to be too crass about it. She's an attractive woman, and I think for some reason people are sympathetic to attractive women.
They get away with murder, don't they? They think, oh, she's attractive, yeah. She must be nice.
Well, the other thing as well is like, not only did she got away with something worse than murder, because like the constant agony, Brandon Green. It's just, I mean, really, the hero in all this is Brandon. I mean, yeah, he was naive, but I you, what's the word I'm looking for here? He survived all of that, and he forgives her. It's amazing. How can you do that? How can one man have such compassion to such an evil creature?
Oh, he's sank to dark depth, doesn't he? To the point where he has to give up.
He might have a bit of Stockholm syndrome. You never know, do you?
Yeah.
Nah, that's the only things holding him back, though, is obviously that mental torture. So I guess that's why he forgives her, right?
I don't think it's like a cucky forgiveness. It's a like you gotta let go of that incident, otherwise that will take you down. Something like that will take you down.
He's not apologising for her fucking being a sick cunt. It's just like
yeah, I'm done with it. He's just like, I'm done with this. I need to move on. I think that's. I don't think he means forgiveness in the sense we're probably thinking forgiveness. I think it's forgiveness as in, like, fuck this. I'm done with this thing. I've got to get past it.
I thought it's like, are you supposed to forgive because the victim should forgive, but you got to ask God for forgiveness instead of the actual victim, I guess.
Yeah.
I think that's the Christian way, isn't it?
I mean, literally, I just think, like, I said it earlier, that the way Brandon Green's able to cope with this is by forgiving her, and that way she can't have a hold on him anymore.
So,
yeah.
This Picard geezer is fucking dodgy as fuck. So prior to his arrest, Picard was deputy director of the Drug Policy Research Program at the University of California, Los Angeles. He came from a well-to-do family. Father was a lawyer. Stepmother was a fungal disease expert at the Center for Disease Control. It seems like his parents taught him. Do you reckon his parents were like hippies? Because they are in Los Angeles, aren't they?
Yeah, sounds about right. Well, Picard, he was the one that was going around drugging his mates and other students, right?
I don't. Was that Picard? So who was Todd Skinner then? Was he just a gopher?
I'm getting confused between the two of them now.
Right,
Was that?
So, yeah, this is the thing. I think Todd Skinner was the one you were talking about.
Oh, right, the one who'd done 163 drugs.
Yeah, I think he was.
But
I think he was
not
just
one
working. I think he was working for Picard. Oh God. In high school, he was an honours student, played basketball, and was named most intellectual. No, so this is a different guy, isn't it? He earned a scholarship to Princeton University, but dropped out after one term, instead preferring to hang out at Greenwich Village jazz clubs. Oh, God. Well, I can imagine what a pretentious fucker this was he was in the 70s. Fucking wanker. In 1971, he got a job as a research manager at the University of California, Berkeley, in the Department of... It's like, he's gone to all the shit-lib play. You can see why he turned out to be a fucking LSD-making hippie. It's like all the ingredients are there, aren't they?
He probably was hanging out with Timothy Leary and saying, "Where are you getting those big barrels of LSD from?" Oh,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
CIA gives it to me.
So his mum is like, his dad was a lawyer, so like that he's got plenty of money there. Stepmother, so he's like a child of divorce or something. So stepmother was a fungal disease expert. They lived in Los Angeles.
Well, that's the other thing as well. It's like, how much money? I mean, I know they said he had a substantial inheritance. How much money do you need to buy a disused missile bunker?
Fuck knows. I don't know. I mean, do they go for not a lot or not a lot? I don't know.
Well, if you've got the money to fill out
check
with
American Rightmove to see what it went for. So it is reported by LSD historian Hobbit. Could you imagine being an LSD historian? I've skipped a bit, haven't I?
Yes.
Oh, so he got a job as a research manager at the University of California, Berkeley. Department of Bacteriology and Immunology, a job he held until 1974. From then on, his academic resume begins a 20-year gap.
That's when he was crystal mething.
Was it? So it's reported by LSD historian Mark McLeod. Who would ever call himself an LSD historian?
Someone who lives in California.
Probably. So it's reported by Mark McLeod that Picard worked with a group of LSD traffickers known as the Clear Light System in the 1960s. Picard is said to have contributed to LSD chemist Nicholas Sands' legal fund following Sands' arrest in 1972. Picard also reportedly had a background in manufacturing the drug MDA. So what's MDA, Hobbit?
That's... Well,
methylene dioxyamphetamine.
Oh, yeah, that's the less psychedelic version of MDMA.
Oh, right, so is this more like meth or something then, is it?
No, they're both quite similar, but MDMA is I don't know. I've never taken either of the drugs, so I couldn't say which one's which.
So in December 1988, a neighbour reported a strange chemical odour coming from an architectural shop at Mountain View, California industrial park. Federal agents arrived to find 200,000 doses of LSD and Picard inside. Picard was charged with manufacturing LSD and served 5 years in prison. It's a shame Phil ain't popping back in, because by 1994, Picard had enrolled at the Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University. Here he focused on drug abuse in the former Soviet Union, where he theorised that the booming black market and many unemployed chemists could lead to a flood of the drug market. So don't you find it weird that LSD goes hand in hand with like hippies, government jobs, and not really getting much punishment?
Well, that's where you got to look into weird things like Timothy Leary, MK Ultra, The Grateful Dead, Laurel Canyon, and all this other weird stuff. Where it just seems to be like, yeah, it's almost just the government of like, you know, because that's the other thing. Like ergot fungus, which you need to manufacture LSD, is highly controlled. So, in order to get that, you've basically been given tacit permission from the government.
Well, they were throwing it in wine, so they didn't. So it's not like don't fucking do anything with that. It's all we've got. So they must have had enough to be throwing it in wine.
If they've got enough that they're producing 90% of the world's LSD, and they've got like, hey, let's do this, 1 kilogram LSD shipment to Amsterdam,
and we'll just throw any spare ergot in the wine.
They were probably getting like bags from the US Department of Agriculture of ergot rye fungus. Because there's like nothing in this. I mean, probably maybe in the testimony it talks about where your sources are, but
well, Did they buy it? Because there's no mention that they've bought the fucking missile silo. He just happens to start owning it, doesn't it? It's like not he paid so and so for it.
Oh, I thought that was the one I was reading about, who had a substantial inheritance.
So look, I just can't see anything about the buying. I can't see anything about the buying of the.
But in order to get those drugs, like the sources and stuff, the precursors to make it, I would be very interested to know in if that ever came up in the court, like who are your sources? Where did you get this from?
Well, that wasn't actually the silo wasn't where it was produced. So do you want me to do about the LSD manufacturing now? So it's not publicly known where Picard initially produced LSD. His first arrest for manufacturing LSD came on December the 28th, 1988 in Mountain View, California. The laboratory was contained inside a trailer that had been moved into a warehouse. It contained state-of-the-art equipment, including a roto-evaporator. Do you know what that is, Hobbit?
It turns as it dries.
Yeah. So a Rotavap is a device used in chemical laboratories for the efficient and gentle removement of solvents from samples by evaporation. When referenced in the chemistry research literature, description of the use of this technique, blah blah blah, may include. So heating mantles, and a pill press. He was producing kilogram quantities of LSD and putting them onto windowpane gel, microdot tablet, and blotter paper. He spent time in prison for this and became a Buddhist while inside. Oh God,
Sounds about right.
Typical fucking hippie. God, Cartman was right, weren't he?
Yeah, the only good hippies.
Yeah,
they should just been giving him methamphetamine and playing Slayer to him 24 hours a day.
do you think this Picard dude is who John Luke Picard is named after?
You know what? Considering the writers are from California,
Yeah,
and
that's where they were getting their fucking LSD from. To
seeing as Jean-Luc Picard was an explorer going to like crazy new worlds and stuff. Yeah.
Oh dear. Anyway, where were we?
Just torturing Worf with LSD.
Torturing Worf, kicking Worf in the bollocks. It's Tasha Yar's foot in Worf's bollocks forever. Picard had laboratories in a number of different locations. Picard never liked to stay at one location more than 2 years so as not to draw attention to himself. In early 1996, the lab was located in Oregon. It was subsequently moved to Aspen, Colorado in 1996. September 1997 to September 1999, it was located in Santa Fe, New Mexico. He liked the Santa Fe location for a number of reasons. His overhead costs were lower and the precursor source was closer. He also liked the fact there was virtually no humidity, which can affect the production of LSD. All of the laboratories are alleged to have produced a kilogram of LSD approximately every 5 weeks. Gordon Todd Skinner... What's that, Hobbit?
I mean, that's like 10 million doses every 5 weeks.
Fucking hell. Where was it going?
Well, there's got to be like some sort of Los Palos Hermanos. No, not even Los Palos Hermanos distribution network would have been enough for that much LSD. 10 million doses every 5 weeks.
Did it just go to a government warehouse?
You know what? I'm thinking it might have done. Yeah.
And then it went out on Vulcans or something. Hercules, isn't it? Is the big one. It's the big cargo one. Kilogram LSD every 5 weeks. Gordon Todd Skinner became involved with Picard and his partner Clyde Apperson in February 1998. It is rumoured that Picard and Skinner were introduced to each other in somewhat formal gathering of various LSD dealers and chemists. So they were at an LSD convention. Is that what they're saying?
The Walter White convention of
the Walter Whites of America. The meeting is said to have taken place in the former home of Jerry and Carolyn Garcia, Mountain Girl, where Skinner was allegedly then living.
Hang on.
But it's like, why is this? Yeah.
Isn't Jerry Garcia like member of the Grateful Dead?
Yes, I think he is. Yeah. Yeah,
So it's
Jerome
that
John Garcia
Garcia.
was guitarist for. Yeah.
So the Grateful Dead is the meeting place of all the LSD manufacturers of the world.
The former home, but still they're there, aren't they? The ghost of them's there, isn't it? The ghost of the Grateful Dead.
I think more needs to be said about how the Grateful Dead. I know Freeman from FreemanTV.com. He's done about the Grateful Dead and how LSD would follow them and how the CIA was involved in it as well. Because this is something which is mentioned with the Laurel Canyon stuff. Unfortunately, the guy who wrote Secrets Inside Laurel Canyon, I think he's dead now. He's not a member of the Clinton kill list, by the way, but he did commit suicide.
Funny, the latest Fortean's talking about somewhere. It's the... Did you know there's a US intelligence base right in Laurel Canyon?
Yeah, I do.
Is it Mountain Top or something? Is it called Mountain Top or something like that?
Well, it's more than that, though. It's like, for example, like Frank Zappa. his dad, I think his
No,
name's
there's an
Ernest.
actual army base there. There's an actual army base there.
Well, it gets weirder than that, right? So
Yeah.
Frank Zappa, his dad, Ernest Zappa, worked for the Department of Chemical Warfare, or the Department of Chemical. He was he worked for DuPont or Dow Chemical, working on things like Agent Orange. And who's the guy from the Doors? The one who died when he was young. Jim Morrison. His dad was the commanding officer at the Gulf of Tonkin.
No, actually, it wasn't that. It was so Lookout Mountain, Hollywood's top secret nuclear film studio. So this was a film studio that was ran and funded by the American military, and it was used for making military films. Anyway, so one of his main customers was a man named Petaluma Al from Petaluma, California. Picard would always arrange for the produced LSD to be transported to the Denver, Colorado, or Boulder, Colorado area to be mailed or picked up, so that Petaluma Al would never know where the laboratory was or located. Most of Petaluma Al's customers were overseas in Europe, which meant that in addition to millions of dollars in the United States currency, Picard also handled millions in Dutch guilders and Canadian banknotes. He preferred to deal in F, which is guilder, florins. So 1,000 florin notes or Canadian $1,000 notes discontinued since 2000 in Canada because it meant less bulk cash to have on hand. He required his distributors to convert all lower currencies into $50 or $100 notes at the least, so as not to cause problems. Although Skinner and Picard were arrested moving the laboratory from Atlas E silo location, they never actually produced LSD at this site. The laboratory had been moved there without Picard or Apperson's knowledge by the government's informant Gordon Todd Skinner. When Picard arrived back in town and learned that Skinner had moved the lab there, they immediately began preparations to move it. Unknown to them, Skinner had begun cooperating with the DEA and had already allowed them to go inside the property to look around. Based on what they saw during this visit, they applied for a search warrant, which was subsequently signed by a federal judge. Apperson drove the Ryder rental truck with the laboratory in it, and Picard followed in a Buick LeSabre. They had walkie-talkies to maintain communication. The DEA had a Kansas Highway Patrol car pull them over, not arouse suspicion. However, they immediately recognised something was wrong, and Picard, being a marathon runner, took off into the woods on foot and was not captured until the next day.
But they still got him.
Yeah, it still got him. So here's the bit you'll be interested in, Hobbit. Authorities found less than 6 ounces of ergamine tartarate during the arrest. However, they claim they normally produced up to 1 kilogram of LSD every 5 weeks. This would produce approximately 10 million microgram doses. Although the DEA claims this would be worth 40 million on the street, Picard did not sell anywhere near the street or retail level. Government informant Skinner testified that Petaluma Al and the largest wholesale customers of Picard paid 29 cents per 100. Is that milligram? Is it the UG thing?
Micrograms.
Microgram per 100 microgram dose, which would put the cost at around 2.97 million for 1 kilogram of LSD.
2.97. Is that right? 10 million doses, $2.97 million.
Yeah, because they were paying 29 cents per dose.
Wow, I wish I could. Some people wish they could get LSD for 29 cents a dose.
That's retail, Hobbit. That's trade. That's not retail, is it?
I was going to say, yeah. I think it's closer to £10.
Apperson was. I don't understand what this other fucking idiot, Gordon Todd Skinner, was doing around then. So Apperson was Picard's partner and was reportedly a skilled chemist, but his role was mainly in the setup and takedown of the laboratory. He was allegedly paid $100,000 for the assembling and $50,000 for packing away the lab. Apperson reportedly manufactured synthetic mescaline. When authorities searched his Sunnyvale, California home, they found 5 drums of the precursor chemicals needed to manufacture synthetic mescaline. Both Picard and Apperson were eventually found guilty at a trial of conspiring to manufacture, distribute, and dispense 10 grams or more of a mixture or substance containing a detectable amount of lysergic acid dithylamide. Picard received 2 life sentences, while Apperson received 30 years imprisonment. But Picard got out through sympathetic means, didn't he?
A lot of book smarts, but no street smarts. Who would leave drums in their own house?
Oh yeah, fucking knobhead. This is quite interesting. According to court testimony, Picard's lab produced up to 1 kilogram of LSD, approximately 5. Why do I keep repeating that? Despite criticism for their methodology, the DAA contends there was a 99.5% drop in the availability of LSD in the US for the 2 years following the arrest. Picard himself has long denied these claims. His 2000 paper, International LSD Prevalence, Factors Affecting Proliferation and Control, Picard suggests that since the 1960s, LSD production has always been decentralised. As to a turn-of-the-century decline in availability due to his own arrest, Picard highlights the fact that LSD availability had been on the decline since 1996, a fact which he correlates in part with the exponential growth and availability for the demand of MDMA and other hallucinogenic drugs. The actual quantity of LSD seized by the DEA remains unclear, with figures ranging from 198.9 grams to 41.3 kilograms. That's quite a big fucking range, isn't it? It's either 200 grams or it's 42 kilograms or 41 kilograms.
Well, is this similar to Outswitch counting?
Yeah, I think so.
150,000, 6 million, 8 million, same difference.
This is the interesting bit, Hobbit. The turn-of-the-century acid drought was likely due to a number of factors, perhaps including but not limited to the arrest of Picard. According to Heads, a biography of psychedelic America, additional factors included the 1996 arrest of longtime LSD chemist Nicholas Sand and the death of a man involved in the illicit sale of LSD precursor materials. Grateful Dead concerts provided a primary distribution network for LSD, and this network dissolved when the Grateful Dead stopped touring in 1995.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm only half listening to what you're saying because I'm still like scanning through the thread to see if there's any more later responses from I'm about 7 years ago.
So Picard was released on prison. So yeah, so that's it. Picard. Oh, did you know Picard also met and befriended Silk Road website founder Ross Ulbricht while in prison and maintains contact with his family?
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Yeah. So in Picard's 2008 paper, International LSD Prevalence, Factors Affecting Proliferation and Control, questions the validity of law enforcement reports about LSD manufacturing and discusses the civil liberties threats posed by the DEA's NADIS database system. In 2011, Picard authored an overview of the NADIS system entitled DEA and NADIS, that's NADDIS, a system, a guide for attorneys, courts and researchers. So NADIS is the Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs Information System. So that's basically the DEA's records on people. So,
I
any more
guess
for
that's
any
like.
more? Or do you want to do some unexplained histories of it?
Yeah, I mean, whilst I'm still like scrolling through the thread, and like I'm looking at posts from 2015, and just there's a lot of people saying, "Are you really like for real in this? Is this really real?" And there's just a lot of bullshit in this, which doesn't really need to be talked about. So I'm just sifting through a lot of crap, trying to give up some like good stuff.
Oh dear. New device enables you to feel pain inside virtual reality, Hobbit.
Why was I programmed to feel pain? Why? Why was I programmed to feel pain?
Nonetheless, so anyway, blah blah blah. Japanese startup H2L Technologies recently unveiled a new wristband that delivers electric shocks to the wearer to simulate pain during virtual reality experiences. It's also capable of simulating other sensations too, such as touch, weight, and resistance.
So it's a tactile response suit which gives you mild electric jabs
Well, it's
when
a
you've been
wristband.
shot.
It's a wristband, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, I've seen like for a while they've been doing like suits which you can wear, and
Is Fraser about? Do you know what the
Yeah,
Antikythera mechanism is?
yeah, it's the clock thing from Greece that was found like.
it's an analog computer
Yeah.
what calculates the position of planets relative to Earth at any
is it?
time
I'll
of the
stick this
year.
one in.
Yeah,
Do you want to
basically
do
a
this?
glorified sundial.
Do you want to do this one, Hubbard? I'll stick it in there. It's in
I'm
general.
still going through. Yeah, sure, I'll read it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. Otherwise, I'm just gonna be scrolling through comments saying, yeah. Oh, why is he such a Jesus freak? He's obviously brain damage from DMT psychosis. I'm like, mate, if you've gone through his amount of torture, you'd be seeking Christ as well.
Yeah.
It's now believed that the ancient device might have first stopped operating on the 27th of December in 178 BC, that's before Christ, or BCE, before Christian era. Generally considered to
Interdimensional lizard said, "Finally, a way to experience pain."
be
Sorry.
generally
Anyway. Go on then.
generally considered to be one of the most important archaeological discoveries of all time. The remarkable 2,000-year-old mechanism is believed to be a form of early astronomical computer. How the ancient Greeks developed the device, which is filled with a staggeringly intricate array of bronze gears, remains something of a mystery, especially given the time period it was built in. Originally retrieved from a shipwreck by sponge divers, the mechanism was found alongside. Have you ever used a real sponge before, and not just like the plastic crap?
Yes.
Yeah, my grandmother had one. It was nice. I miss it.
Can you still buy them or not?
Probably, yeah.
Is it evil?
Well, it's probably evil as well, like fur and ivory.
Yeah.
So, sponge divers, what were they doing? Since its growth, the device has been subject to. It says the device has been the subject of intense study and debate, with archaeologists struggling to piece together its function and origins.
Editors on the ball again.
Yeah. Now, a new study has put forward the possibility that the device
You got to
first
study for
became
that, bro.
Yeah. They say the device first became operational on the 22nd of December, 178 BC. Oh, that's very specific. The researchers suggested that the solar eclipse on that exact day, coupled with the winter solstice for the following day, both important events at the time. Wait, no, the winter
Are
they
solstice
just
is
making
the
this shit up, are they?
21st.
Hey, let me just pull this number out my ass because it sounds important.
But
Yeah.
the winter solstice is the day before. But anyway, both important events at the time would have made it the ideal
Gregorian
candidate for
calendar, Hobbit.
characteristic, important, and easily detected start date. I don't even want to get into that. While this conclusion is certainly intriguing, other experts
Not
have weighed
really.
in on the debate. We're playing down the likelihood that this particular date is accurate. For example, if the specific start date was correct, other seasons and date displayed on the device would be inaccurate, such as the grape ripening season being in the middle of February. as things stand, it's likely the mysteries of the mechanism endure for some time to come. When it comes to ancient
So
dates and
headline is
calendars,
still have no idea how old it is.
yeah, but when it comes to like ancient dates and like the grapes, how do we know what the climate was back then? So,
Yeah.
for
Well,
maybe that was the time to ripen grapes in February.
Yeah.
be.
Maybe the Earth hadn't cooled then, you know. Maybe the medieval warm period had, you know, it was one of those epochs.
Well, that's also the time when there were cities in North Africa,
Have you
and
seen
it
this?
wasn't.
Oh, that is
Oh,
grim.
yeah.
That's fucking horrible, that is. That's a fish. Baby dragonfish, they're saying it is. They fly through the water using the large pectoral fins, and they generally live deep in the sea below 200 metres. This would, however, does not appear to be too healthy. It looks slightly dead, said Tibbets. I imagine it came up in a deep water trawl on a research vessel. Poor little critter. Well, is everyone just shocked by that?
Yep.
Yes, and I'm definitely not reading about another person who's doing a bring the bitch down on an awareness raising campaign. But he's doing that in the internet psychedelic community. So
Oh right,
I
he's not
think
gonna go very far then.
yeah, it's like some hippies like, oh man, I'm gonna send some bad karma her way. He's like, yeah, okay.
You know apples. They're not English. I bet.
Yeah, they say they come from Central Asia along with cannabis. So
Yeah.
but the
Central
thing,
Asia.
yeah, but the thing about saying that, right, is like, apples and cannabis, they both
You're
come from
racist.
Central
We'll
Asia.
stop eating apples then, Hobbit.
But like 10,000 years ago, if you believe in the Ice Age, like England was under 2 miles of ice, so
If you believe that, yeah.
so everything is a foreign import to England from 10,000 years back.
Yeah. So what else we got in here? Scientists knock 30 years off the age of a woman's skin.
What if they like put like some new skin on her? Oh my god!
The method known as IPS typically involves adding a mixture of chemicals to adult cells for around 50 days, which eventually turns them into stem cells.
What?
In this
Why?
case, the subject was only... Oh, do you want to do this one, Hobbit? Because you're a bit more chemically minded than I am.
yeah, I
You know
right.
this
So
one.
you don't just it's with the stem cell stuff. Most of the time they just get it from abortions because that's an easy way to get it. But you can use a chemical process to tell skin cells to revert back into stem cells, and then you don't have to get stem cells from abortions.
But yeah, they're telling you they can do this. Absolutely, we can do this. Unfortunately, now for now at least, it's not possible to repeat this on patients in a clinical setting because the process significantly increases the risk of cancer. So you can knock 30 years off the age of a woman's skin, but you can't because it causes cancer.
Wait. Okay, wait. So they reduce the age of the cells. So why don't they just apply that to cancer?
Because the cancer is unregulated cellular
Cell growth.
mitosis.
Yes. Yeah. But then revert it back. Why don't they're still your cells, right? And if they're turning normal, even if they have normal cells, they still go back to stem cells, right? Why is it not being applied to cancer then?
Well, actually, that's the thing. You might want to read Dr. Simoncini's book, Cancer is a Fungus. It probably ties into terrain theory as well. When the conditions are right in the body, fungus takes over, and these tumors are fungal colonies.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it turns out you can use a very simple chemotherapy. Dr. Simoncini was an oncologist in Italy until they shut him down because he's like, yeah, I've been treating my patients by injecting them with sodium bicarbonate in an IV drip, same way you do in normal chemotherapy, but with significantly less side effects because it's sodium bicarbonate.
Yeah.
And he had patients going into remission 2 weeks after his treatment. But they just take the piss out of him. And
Sodium bicarbonate.
Well, what
that
they do, what they
baking
do is they usually they do the drug
yes,
drug
it
study,
is
but they
baking
get all,
soda.
but they always
Yeah.
make sure they get all the measurements wrong and things like that, and they go, oh, this don't work, don't they?
He says he got this from that treatment from reading Egyptian medical texts. So I don't know what he was reading, but the
Book of the Dead.
Egyptians, the Egyptians have got experience with cancer. And,
Don't know.
yeah.
You seen a driverless car got pulled over by coppers in San Francisco, stopped and then
Yeah.
fucked off.
That's going to be a weird thing when you're pulling a car over and there's no driver, but it carries on
no
driving.
lights. It got pulled over for no lights.
I wonder if I'll find the owner kind of thing. Cause
Well, they have
car-
found the owner. A company owns it. A company called Cruise in San Francisco. So basically, the Americans have passed driverless cars then. The American government has then, or they're just fucking doing this.
Yeah.
Because we're a corporation, bro. You can't sue us because that's bad.
So it's a trial run for things to come then.
Yeah, I thought they were experimenting with those driverless lorries as well. Not Amazon's got the drone shit now, isn't it? It's just that version, isn't it?
You seen this thing about wax recordings? I bet.
Oh, what's that then?
Wax cylinders. They're saying that they can actually listen to them now.
For the first time in 100 years. Yeah, I asked someone the other because I watched a video about Edison phonograph recordings, the cylinders, and said, "Has anybody?" Because they're all done with what looks like a gramophone and a steel needle. And I said, "Has anybody tried using a modern pickup cartridge, which is one designed for shellac records on the cylinders?" No response yet. So hopefully,
now though, a device known as the endpoint cylinder and dictor belt machine is about to change all that by providing a way to scan and play back wax cylinders without damaging them. So they'll just take some sort of image of them, won't they?
3D photograph.
Yeah. Do you use a dictor belt, Hobbit?
Oh,
yeah.
That's what they could use.
Like everyone else.
A dictor belt. Yeah. There is such a thing as a laser pickup cartridge, but the record has to be absolutely spotless, otherwise the dust. Because you see, that's the nice thing. Those pops and crackles.
Do you remember all the bullshit on Tomorrow's World when look CDs you can cover them with mud and everything? Do you remember that?
I missed that program, to be honest.
That was before my time because that would have been early 80s. But
yeah, there we go. Look at this. You could do all this shit to CDs. Yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah, I believe you.
Interdimensional
lizards put a little bit of water on them and they're fucked. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Interdimensional lizard says, "Give them to Tecmo and he'll figure it out." Yeah, that's right. That's the guy I was watching playing the cylinders.
Oh fuck! I've got a study on near death experience. You got a study on that, bro?
Study.
New research into what happens when we die has yielded some interesting data about near-death experiences.
Oh.
The research, which has involved an international multidisciplinary team of scientists, has aimed to study near-death experiences or recalled experiences of death. Oh no, they've renamed fucking near-death now. Recalled experiences of death now they're called REDs.
I get tired with all the the changing of language. It reminds me of
Well, they're
1984.
now called aliens of colour now, aren't they? You're not allowed to call them UFOs anymore, are you?
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
What do they call PUAs? What the fuck? What's that fucking shitty term they've come up with for UFO?
Aliens of unknown origin.
No, I don't know. I thought it was a P.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
It was that bullshit term which we immediately dismissed. UAPs?
UAP, that's it. UAP. I think
Yeah.
there was a P in there somewhere.
UAP.
Unidentified aerial
phenomena. That's
Phenomena.
what,
Alright.
yeah, they're not UFOs anymore. They're UAPs. They're aliens of colour. And so now you've got near death of colour now. So scientists found that some experiencers, oh god, the language in this, experiencers, seem to exhibit signs of lucidity despite being outwardly unconscious, while studies of the brain indicated anomalous activity and electrical spikes indicative of a heightened state of consciousness in those in the midst of such experiences. The studies of consciousness, so like they're more conscious than ever, but they're dreaming they're going down a tunnel.
Well, no, they're dead, but they're more conscious than ever. Is that what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, exactly. The studies of consciousness and lucidity during cardiac arrest, PVS, persistent vegetative state, and terminal lucidity.
Persistent vegetative state. Is that what we're calling dead people now? It's
Yeah.
just a persistent vegetative state.
Let me know. Let me know. Let me know if his condition improves.
This is an ex-parity has ceased to be. No, he's just resting.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in a persistent vegetative state.
He's just in a persistent vegetative state. And terminal lucidity during end-of-life experiences suggests that, paradoxically, people deemed to have irreversibly lost consciousness may, in fact, maintain a component of consciousness they wrote.
You've lost consciousness, but you actually still may be
Hobbit,
conscious.
how are you at understanding gobbledygook or madfuzz? How are you at understanding... So, people deemed to have irreversibly lost consciousness may in fact maintain a component of consciousness, they wrote.
Yeah, when it comes to bullshit like this, I just read the story. I just read the words written, and
the more unconscious someone is, the more unconscious they actually are.
Really?
No,
Yeah.
the more unconscious they are.
Wagwan?
Wagwan. They concluded that the research conducted thus far could neither prove nor disprove the phenomenon. Yet another in the field of great studies, bro.
Taxpayers' money,
Yeah.
right there. Like, let's fund 20 of these studies. Fuck's sake. Science, I love you, but come on, bro.
We're just talking
right.
about a study, bro,
Yeah.
on near death experiences. Phil.
All right, with no evidence, I'm assuming. No evidence whatsoever, just making shit up as we go along.
Yeah, exactly.
It's them just watch Flatliners High.
Yeah.
And that's
We watched that.
that's our study.
But they did kind of find out the less conscious you are, the more conscious you are.
Ow.
You tell us.
This is the shark paper all over again, isn't it?
I was going to say, it's exactly like the sharks. It's like we've run out of research money, so
Give
results
more.
inconclusive. Give it.
Hold on a minute. If someone's unconscious but they're more conscious, it's not like me saying we found some circles and the more circular they were, the more square they were. But
Yeah.
So this is the wording. So that paradoxically, people deemed to have irreversibly lost consciousness may in fact maintain a component of consciousness.
Wait, irreversibly.
yeah, it's a paradox because it actually is a paradox. What they realised was that if it's a fucking paradox, it can't fucking happen. Like, it didn't fucking happen. Like, they're making shit up.
Yeah?
This
Well, I
is
mean,
how they are.
they've irreversibly lost consciousness. That means they're not coming back to consciousness. So how would you ever find out that they
It's like me saying
were more
if you're
conscious?
dead. It's literally the same. If you're dead, right? If you're actually dead, you're actually a bit alive. But no, you're not.
Well, you know that you say that, Phil, but from a scientific perspective, death remains potentially reversible for as long as the underlying cellular processes have not reached biological irreversibility, possibly hours to days into
Right.
the post-mortem period, the researchers wrote.
Oh, nice. So you literally
Yeah,
can
but
die
what
for
would
like 2
describe
days
it-
and be okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not consciousness, is it? Like, consciousness is...
It's...
Oh, it's the biological reductionism, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
like, well, I really
Yeah.
So when someone fucking drops dead in an ambulance and they call it at the scene, they're not really dead, but unless 2 days have passed, right? They could
So can
fix
you
them
really
while
say
they're
they're DOA
and bring
then?
them back
You
to
know,
life.
just keep them in a bed
Yeah.
for a bit.
Yeah. Surely,
Someone
right?
get the power of Monty Python. It's like, it's fucking...
It's just- Here's another quote from this study. Few studies have explored what happens when we die in an objective and scientific way, but these findings
because
offer
it's
intriguing
fucking
insights into how
Because it's
consciousness
fucking
exists.
possible.
Yeah.
No, it's like when people are fucking dead, the reason why it's very, very difficult to do science is because they're fucking dead. Like, we don't understand how consciousness works. Like, we literally don't understand how the fuck it works. Like, I'm not going to get philosophical, but we don't even
This
understand
really
how
has
properly it
has
works.
been the week for studies, bro, isn't it?
Yeah, especially with like fucking hell, the philosophy of mind is a fucking gay up. It's a fucking gay up because no one understands how the fucking brain works. They're still making shit up as they go along. Pretty much.
I did hear of a bit of graffiti once that said, if the human brain was so simple we could understand it, we'd be so simple we couldn't.
Yeah, that's
very deep.
pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
That's deep, man.
Yeah.
That's deep.
But yeah, you can't understand the brain properly. There's aspects of the brain that are very complicated, like qualia. Like if I said to you, how does when you experience pain, like how would you describe the experience of pain? How that works? Now you could say that.
Is that experience of pain in VR or not?
yeah. Someone's come up with a way to experience pain in VR, Phil.
No, I'm on about like unless you've experienced. Like there's an aspect of pain that's based on experiential knowledge, and that's how the brain works, and it's fucking weird.
Yeah, but
No
no one knows that if like I get pricked on the finger and you get pricked on the finger, no one knows if we feel the same amount of pain or more because people have different thresholds in pain as well, don't you?
Chicken, does it taste the
Pain's
same
kind of
as you?
subjective, isn't it?
Yeah, no one knows.
Yeah.
Or like shit, like we can picture things in our heads. It's like, okay, then if I'm picturing like a square in my head now, how the fuck does that even work? Like, how can my brain
Yeah,
do
but
that?
some people can't. Like some people read a book.
Yeah.
Some people read a book and they don't like imagine the picture that's being painted for them in the book, do they?
What, like Mark Clance, fucking Skyrim and people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If on a scale of 1 to 5, and 5 being like an almost photorealistic depiction of an apple, and 0 being like nothing, it's just a blank space, there's a lot of people, Hylics or NPCs, that are unable to form any picture of an apple when asked to do so with their imagination. They also have no internal monologue. There's just, that is a phenomenon.
Wait, what? People can't.
What,
talk
you have
themselves
voices
their
in your head,
Oh,
Hobbit? You
no.
must be a man. You must be an idiot.
Yeah. There's been studies on this, Mad Flies. Well, not a meta-analysis, but there's been a few studies. Some people don't have an internal monologue. They don't have that at all. They literally just fucking ad-lib everything. They are NPCs. It's mainly women as well, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Who would have fucking thought it? Women are NPCs? I would have thought that.
Is it? I'm guessing it's something to do with I don't know, spatial awareness or something. Like, is it to do with that or?
Apparently Richard Hammond lost the ability to imagine pictures after his crash. Interdimensional Lizard says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think what it is that God gave us different operating. I'm obviously reducing this, but basically God gave us different operating systems based on how important we are to the human race.
Yeah.
That's what it's from. Make that of what you will. Also, this is just a side note. It's not racist in any way. There's been a lot of data that black people can't do this as well. They have an internal monologue. So put those two statements I put together and then make your own argument. I didn't think it, you did, you racist.
Better break that slowly to JMK then.
Yeah, but it's interesting. How can your brain even do that? Like, why? Like, the brain's amazing. It's amazing. Science. Whoa! I fucking love science.
Well, here's the
I don't
question
love
then,
science.
Phil. Where are your
Yeah.
thoughts? Where are they physically?
Exactly. Well,
The
I can
Akashic
think of-
record.
well, I can imagine a square right now, and a scientist will say, "Well, what's happening in your brain is neurons are firing." It's like, okay, neurons are firing, and they're projecting a non-physical square in my head. Like, how the fuck does that work? Like, but then again, I don't
Actually,
even
Hobbit
understand.
is the Akashic MP3 file now.
What is it?
Yeah.
It's been digitized. You know.
I don't want it. No, I want analog.
You got the Akashic vinyl.
Yeah.
All right, here's
Yeah.
a question. And if we had to describe different people, which operating systems are they on? What do you reckon? What do you reckon Mark Collette's operating system is? Is he XP, Vista? What is he?
What is it? Apple
It-
OS version 2.4.
I think he's on the same thing as, like, you know, LCD tellies on buses that just play adverts. I think he's on that.
CFA.
Yeah.
No, he's on
Yeah,
CFA.
just like where it's just like a program on a loop. It just spits out stuff on a loop. I think he's on that.
Well, Phil and I
Maybe
were
he's
talking about the death of CFAX yesterday, and he found a video of like
Did I hear
last.
someone saying they were thinking about bringing back like teletext or CFAX or whatever it was?
Oh no! Don't. That's hor. That's no.
Yeah,
Don't do
dude.
that.
CFAX is fucking beautiful. That was amazing. Simple times.
Oh,
Go back to
did you ever
analog.
play
Oh,
Did you
man.
ever play Bamboozle on
Oh,
that?
yeah.
Yeah.
Every day.
Do you remember when the
YouTube.
BBC was constantly telling you to press the red button? Do you remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
That
Press the
died a
red
death,
button
didn't
now
it? It
for
don't even work.
information.
On Skype, it don't even work. The red button don't even work anymore.
Oh man.
Nathan,
Oh, Nathan
Nathan
Dane on YouTube has made his own homemade CFAX. He does streams on it.
Oh, I'll have to check that
Homemade
out.
CFAX. Oh fucking hell.
Yeah, fuck the Akashic
No, thank
record. I
you.
want the Akashic CFAX.
Maybe that is the.
Do you remember when post-broadcasting the BBC used to put on pages from CFAX? Do you remember that?
Yes, yes, I do. And I always thought, wow, one of these days I'm going to get a teletext telly and I'm going to be able to do it myself.
I
When I
don't.
used to come home fucked up, I used to put CFAX on and go sleep to it. What the music radio? CFAX. It's like ASMR. It was like
the other
primitive
thing-
ASMR.
With the teletext thing is they play like Japanese pop music, like what was that one I was playing the other day? Maria Takanashi or something. The song was
yeah.
Ching Chong Ping Pong Ching.
Oh yeah.
Banger.
Oh, what was it? I can get it. I know if I type in like a city pop playlist. Da 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 do 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 da 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 do 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 do.
Another one.
Maria Takushi Plastic Love, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
But they used to play that on CFAX.
I am pretty sure. I'm going to put this in general here. That's the sort of music you'd hear on CFAX. Plastic Love. Do, 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 do,
Oh shit, yeah.
do.
Oh yeah, they did play
Ching
that.
chong, ching chong, ching chong, ching.
Yeah, that does sound like one.
Ching chong, ping pong. You get CFAX holidays like adverts with that music.
Hold on a minute.
Ping pong,
Isn't there a
ching.
Whitney Houston cover where she's wearing
Ching
exactly the same,
chong,
doing
ping
exactly the
pong,
same
ping.
pose?
Well, it probably is. It probably
Yeah.
like they stole like a couple of like Japanese songs and then put some English lyrics to it. So
Yeah.
CFAX.
Right, are we done for this evening's broadcast?
I'm still reading the Brandon Green
Yeah,
Crystal
but
Cole
nobody wants
thread.
us part 2, Hobbit. So it's good night from me and good night.
But
from
Don
everybody else.
Kicker said he's looking forward to a part 3. I don't
Yeah.
understand. Huh.
CFAX Holidays is the origin of booked it, packed it, fucked off. Like me holiday to Northampton.
There's 3 fags all over the pavement in Northampton. It were magical.
Stay spooky.
RB